Hi, there is something that leaders, especially new leaders or when you move up, have to do on a regular basis that most leaders don't expect they have to do. And it's a huge problem. It's a massive problem and largely unrecognized, hence this video. And when you recognize it and understand it, it's like, that's so obvious. Like all these important things, sometimes it's so obvious when you know that they actually exist. But until you know they exist, you don't realize how big a problem it is. It's such a huge problem because it causes massive losses in productivity and results if you don't make the shift in what we're talking about, this thing you need to learn. But not just with you, it's the productivity with your whole team. And it causes a colossal amount of stress, usually to the leader, but often to their teams as well. And it creates all sorts of problems around leadership and setting direction and micromanaging. It has delegation, all sorts of different things. So what the hell is it we're talking about? And it's the need to redefine your definition of work. So at this point, my clients usually are like, what? So it's your definition of work. So let me explain. We work best as human beings when we use our training and our conditioning and our experience that we've built up over years and years, all that skills and knowledge we have without having to think too much about it. Think about when you drive a car. If you know how to drive a car, you had to think hard about it. You had to practice and it was really confusing at the start. Then it got easier and the brain says, hey, I can do this. We like to make things easy for ourselves. So we work best when we are using what we know and what we're comfortable with. So if you're becoming a leader, you will have had many, many, many years of experience of doing what you're really good at. And this becomes the benchmark of our work. It becomes our default setting. So it probably is going to be your specialist subject of what you do within business or within your career. That is your work. This is what you've learned. This is what you're good at. This is what you're skillful at. But this conditioning of how we think and how we use what we're good at actually moves against us. And it becomes a problem when we go into higher leadership positions. And we have to let go of what we've been conditioned to think of as work, because the work you do as a leader is different from what you did as a worker or even as a manager. So on the left there, I've got my genius zone model. And there are three areas in business, really. When I work with people over the last 20 years, there's really three ways of thinking about business. Some people are innovators, they're creators. This includes entrepreneurs. They can be workers, people who get huge satisfaction out of what they do. And some people are managers and natural managers, or they have to learn to be managers, even if they perhaps don't want to. And this causes all sorts of problems about selecting the right person who should be a manager and who shouldn't. But when we transition between worker to manager, or manager to a leader in the innovator zone, in the red zone, or even from worker to innovator, because there's a lot of people who should go from worker to innovator and never go anywhere near manager because they're not suited in the way they're thinking. If you're thinking, I hate managing, but I like leading, or if you've got someone who's really good at what they do, they've got a specialism of subject. And an example of this is the classic, the best salesperson in the company gets promoted to being a sales manager, and they fail miserably because they don't think like a manager and they don't know how to be a manager, so they fail. So I use this process to help people, companies work out who are the right people to be in the right job. But ultimately it comes down to each of these areas, they think differently. And their real value is doing different things. So some of the most successful people are really successful because their skills and their specialist knowledge as a worker. Workers not less than a manager or an innovator, but it's your conditioning of what you know and you're good at. And so sometimes a really good manager who's very good at controlling and organizing systems, when they have to create the systems or have to lead people, that's new, it's different, and they don't know how to do it. And most of the time nowadays, unfortunately, we don't train people to be managers and leaders. So when they make these transitions, they often fail, which is a real shame. But let's go back to the subject, that whatever you are doing, you're conditioned to be good at what you've been practicing. It makes life easier to use those things. But as a leader, most of your time should be leveraging the abilities of others. And that means that you have to be at a higher level of thinking, of strategic thinking, direction and goals, creativity, influencing. One of the most common things that we get asked to help people at a senior level be a better influencer. Planning and organization, leading and managing, networking, motivating, to leverage what your job is, to create leverage of all the people that you are now leading in the organization, no matter how big or small it is. So most people don't start doing these activities. They start working and doing the things that they've learned how to do, coding, or working in as an architect, or working as as an accountant. Anything we do, we spend most of our time doing the job. So the interesting, and this is a conversation I had with a client, they said, thinking is not working. Yes, it is, was our reply. It doesn't feel like it. I feel guilty that I'm not doing enough. This is a real conversation. And it just sums it up, because thinking about how you take the company forward, how you'll influence it, how products are created, how strategically it's going to move forward over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 5 years, whatever. That's creative thinking in that respect. It's leadership. It's strategic planning. Whereas most of us, we start with being taught how to do tasks. So people feel that they are not doing enough. But a great idea and a well set up plan can be leveraged. But if we think we need to be doing things, doing the hours, and this is what often happens, is that leaders, even though they need to be at this level, they end up being sucked into all the micromanaging stuff, all the details still. They're not leveraging people. They're not trusting their managers to be in control of things because they feel they need to be working, or they're just conditioned to work at a lower level. And then what happens is you're not being valuable, your team's not being valuable, your managers are not doing what they're meant to do, and everyone works below their level. So here's the question: where are you most valuable? If you're the expert in the business, you're the leader, how much time are you spending at levels below where you should be? So very, very simply, we have an expression: are you stuck in the weeds? Are you right down in the bottom doing tasks you shouldn't be doing, below your pay grade? Are you doing a lot of operational tasks, which again, below your level? Are you making sure that the tactical things are getting done? And are you spending most of your time up at where you should be, which is more strategic thinking? Now, it doesn't mean we're always up there. Sometimes we have to get down in to do tactical and operational things, but if you're that experienced, you're the leader of the company or the department or the division or wherever it happens to be. Your job is to lead, set direction, influence, motivate, solve higher level problems, which then can be worked on by people with their specialisms further down in the hierarchy. So a leader's job, primary work, is to create leverage through the skills and the talent of the people you employ. And one of the things people say, you can always create more money, you can't create more time. For a individual, that's true. You can't create more time in the 24 hours you have. But as a leader, through leverage, you can create more effective time by leveraging the time and the skills and the talents of the people you employ. You're buying their time and their skills and their talents. So your use of your time is to create as much leverage of these people as possible. That's why you employ them, because you can't do every job, especially as the company gets bigger and bigger. So, are you stuck in the weeds? Are you in operational things too much? Too many low-level decisions are crossing your desk If that's the case, you're getting dragged down out of your most valuable area. You have all that experience. You know better than many other people in the company where you should be going, what should be, how that perhaps your part of the company should be run. It's not just CEOs. I'm talking about C-suite and senior managers too. If you're stuck in levels below your most valuable level, then it's time to get out. So this is what we love helping managers and leaders do. Make sure they're working at their top level so the people below them are working at their best level too. And they'll enjoy it more because they actually get paid to do the stuff they're meant to do. Same as you. So everyone works at the higher level. And if you think about that, higher level and the right level, if you think about that, how much value is that going to be to the business? If people are doing most of the time, this is not utopia, most of the time, the things at the right level for their skills, then how's that going to help the business? If you are stuck working below your pay grade, chances are the people below you are too. They'll get frustrated, they'll get bored, morale will go down. People like to work and feel good about doing what they are best at. So when leaders move up, they often have to redefine their work. And the biggest jump, well, it's two big jumps. From worker to manager, this is when it happens, and many managers never make that jump successfully, and they end up with a really talented person who's not competent and knows how to manage for various different reasons. Not an insult to them, they just don't know how to do it. So that's a big jump where this happens, where people underperform and they don't redefine their work and know how to redefine their work. And the next level is from manager to leader. So, third level, might as well finish it off. When people go from worker to leader, perhaps you're really skillful and you're going to start your own business. You're going to go from worker to leader and miss out manager, because sometimes it's good to miss out managers, that management stage. You may be the completely wrong person to be a good manager. It's not your job. That's not a problem. You just need to hire people and know how to run people who are great managers for you. So each of those shifts, from worker to manager, from worker to leader, or manager to leader, this is a time when we have to redefine our definition of work and break that conditioning. And then you'll be able to work at a level that's really good for you and good for the business. So, is any of your team stuck in the weeds? Are you stuck in the weeds? You're working below your pay grade? Do you need to redefine your definition of work? Send us an email or just book in a call using this link. There's going to be links around, I suspect. Click in. Let's have a conversation. We're really good at making people make this shift. So everybody wins. Thanks for your time, and I hope to speak to you soon.